Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, the podcast for all things neurodivergence. I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist and professional speaker, and I'm happy to be your host through the wild trails of the neurodivergent world.
And I'm Jake Noonan, educational coach and humanities teacher, your co-host and producer, and I'm thrilled to help share the stories and the experiences of wonderful people in the world of neurodiversity.
We're really excited for today's guest, which we are going to say a lot because we're always really excited about every guest we get. So let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. I am your host, Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist, published author, keynote speaker, general, good time enthusiast. Here, as always, with me is Mr. Jake Noonan. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, everybody. Super excited to be here again, as always. And I'm really proud and excited as well to hear that Dr. Matt is adding that he's a published author.
Woo! Yeah.
That's a new thing, but it's also fantastic. It's just been amazing to watch as a friend, as a coworker, as co-host, just from the background a little bit the whole time. So it's been a long time coming, but
you're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry. We haven't even started yet. We're not here to talk about me.
That's fair. We're here to talk about another author who I actually just got the book in the mail, and I was skimming through it, and it's...
Show it.
It's amazing so far, like from what I've seen. So I just want to pass it over to our wonderful author of the book, if he could introduce himself.
Thanks a lot. It's nice to be here. I'm Fabian Grolimund. I'm a Swiss psychologist. And I'm a learning coach too, and I'm a bit specialized in this field of ADHD and learning problems. So the book is also about this topic.
Sorry, I completely forgot to even mention what the book's called, but it's called Charlie, Are You Daydreaming Again? And even like first skimming through, I fell in love with all the illustrations and...
Oh, beautiful.
Like at the very back of it, like you have like hints and advice of like what other options people can do and people can have for like their wolf's eye that you mentioned in this and like daydreaming and everything. I thought it was fantastic. So I want to ask, like, what inspired you to write this? What's your connection to it? How does it kind of dive into your psychology field?
Yeah, so I was really like Charlie when I was a child, daydreaming all the time. Perhaps a little story to illustrate this. The kindergarten is part of the official school system in Switzerland. And my mother had to go to talk to this kindergarten teacher because I was never listening, daydreaming all the time. And she just thought I wasn't ready for school. So my mom went there after the kindergarten and she told me, Fabian, just get dressed. I have to talk to your kindergarten teacher about this daydreaming stuff. When they came out, I sat there in underwear. I get undressed instead of dressed, looked at them and said, during the winter, are the kings wearing their crowns over or under their winter hat? And my kindergarten teacher was just like, you see, that's how he is all the time. And my mother said, well, then he will go another year to kindergarten. And I think that was probably the best for me. And that's the personal connection. I have these problems today too. So, for example, today I was making a Greek salad for me. just tomatoes and feta cheese. And when I was eating it, I was like, but it doesn't taste like that. What's going on? It's very different today. And afterwards, I saw that the feta cheese was still in the fridge. I just put tomatoes because I was thinking about something else. So that stayed with me.
So your lunch was pretty much tomatoes, not a Greek salad.
Yeah, just only tomatoes. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, and Jake, I don't want to speak for you here, but I feel like I probably can. As he's telling you this, are you rehearsing every time in your head that you've done exactly that same thing?
All the time.
Yeah, I once left for a class at university. I was like, I have my shirt, I have my hat, I have my ID, I have my wallet, I have my backpack, I have my shoes and my socks. Great. And I left, and then someone was like, dude, why aren't you wearing pants? I looked down, I was like, damn it, because I was thinking about other things. And boy, inattentive type ADHD sure is a real jerk sometimes.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening to this podcast knows exactly what you're talking about with that salad thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and the other connection, it was in fact it was Stefanie's idea to write this book, because we're working a lot with children with ADHD, and often parents ask us if we know any books for children. And Stephanie said there are quite a lot of books for children, but it's all about boys, and it's mostly about hyperactive, impulsive boys. And these daydreaming girls, that's something that's missing. And so, yeah, we had this idea to fill this gap. It's also a bit a problem. I think it's similar in the United States, but in Switzerland, the daydreaming children, the inattentive children, they are often not diagnosed because it's just them. They are suffering for themselves, but they don't make the teachers suffer. So or the parents that much, and so they often are not detected.
That's the problem, right? As a fellow psychologist, that kids get noticed in systems for very obvious overt behavior, right? The kids who are falling out of their chairs or running around the classroom or having sword fights with rulers, teachers notice them, parents notice them, coaches notice them. But the Charlies of the world, who are sitting quietly with a half smile on their face, but they're thinking about the football match they're going to play after school or the episode of Bluey they watched, they don't get noticed, especially if they're bright kids and they can figure out how to scramble enough to get a good grade. So then you don't get noticed for the academic challenge or the behavior challenge. You just sort of float on by.
Yeah. And for me, that to get the grades, that was a lot of work after the school. Really sitting on homework for hours. And I was so tired from making all this homework that at school I just didn't listen. And if we had to work for ourselves, I just took a break. That made it worse because I had to do everything I missed during school at home. And that's a huge problem, I think, with daydreaming children, that they learn very little at school and they have to do a lot at home. And that's a thing we always try to change in the learning coaching sessions, so that they stay more focused at school, that they can really work during these hours when they have to work for themselves on topics, so that they have less to do at home.
And it's that sort of vicious cycle that occurs, because the less you attend to at school, the more you have to do at home. But at home, there are even more distractions, potentially less support. And if you're someone who takes medication, I mean, I know my medication, it's like 3:30, good. 4 o'clock, good. 4:30, right? I wish this was a video podcast. We could put in awesome visual effects there. But so now you've got a kid whose brain is exhausted for keeping it together all day, who has to do more work than your average kid, with a brain who can't handle as much work in an environment that's not supportive for doing the work. I mean, gosh, I wonder why our ADHD kids are so stressed out.
Yeah. And often parents get very much involved in this homework thing, and there are constant conflicts, fighting over it. The children try to avoid this situation, and parents think that they have to pressure them to do more. Yeah, perhaps we could also talk a bit about that, how we can change that.
Like the cycle that's going on there, you mean?
Yeah. That's so stressful for parents and children and teachers, everybody in it, because it's just a bad fit. And one thing I find very important is really to minimize homework.
Yeah.
That's so important. For example, in the book, the teacher and Charlie's mother, they agree on a certain time. It's 30 minutes, and they break it down to 3 10-minute breaks. I find that very important, to really work in short breaks and just to look at the homework and ask child questions. Do you know what to do? Are you ready? And go. And then really try for 10 minutes to stay on it for 3 times or 4 times. And then we have this rule: if she did work on it and did pay attention, it's okay, even if she haven't finished everything. And often children get so much faster. If they have to do less, they do more because they want to finish. And I've always had this feeling, it's going to take me the whole afternoon anyways. So the energy goes down, the energy level. It's as if you have to do a marathon, so you have to spare some energy. And there was often, I told my mother, I'm doing homework for 3 hours now. And she said, Fabian, you didn't even get started on the fridge. You did everything else, but you didn't really get started. And so this signal, now I'm focusing for a very short time. I take a break and then a next short little sprint, and I have enough time to do something else afterwards. That's very important for these children.
That the nature of that sort of leap into the pool, without testing the water first, it's part of how the ADHD brain works, and it actually can make it harder for kids, because one of the things our bodies do really well is they acclimate to spaces. So they start preparing you to do the thing before the thing happens, right? This is why a bedtime routine is so important, because your brain goes, oh, at this time I go upstairs, I brush my teeth, I wash my face. Your brain's like, these are the things I do before I go to sleep. So your body's getting you ready to sleep. But if you're the sort of kid who's an ADHDer and you're like juggling a football, and all of a sudden you're like, now it's time for math, and you sit down and do math, your brain has not really prepared you to do the thing. And you might find that you get a burst of 3 to 5 minutes, but then your energy flags because your body wasn't really prepared to do the thing. It's sort of like stretching before you play sport rather than just jumping out onto the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's very important, really, to get ready for it. In the Charlie book, we have this wolf's eye. So Charlie meets this wise wolf in the forest, and the wolf is really in the now and can focus on tasks. And she wants to get to know this capability. And the wolf teaches her the wolf's eye, really, to be in the situation, to be spot on. And Charlie, she mobilizes herself. If she has to do her morning routine or homework, she tells herself, take a deep breath, wolf's eye on, and now dive into it. And in Switzerland, there are a lot of school teachers working with the book. And we get emails all the time that they tell us this wolf's eye, that's really a cue for children. They just have, instead of tell them, pay attention or concentrate, they just say, wolf's eye on. and that's a good signal for children. And it's not this negatively labeled thing like concentrate or pay attention. It's something new that children want to be able to do. And it changes how teachers talk about it.
Where did the idea of the wolf come from? Because at least, this is maybe my American lens on this, but wolves in American storytelling tend to be villains.
Yeah, and there are some villains who are wolves in the book too, yeah. What I find very interesting about ADHD and this topic about focusing, it's always the attention deficit disorder. And I think it's more attention, because children with ADHD, they can focus if they are intrinsically motivated, but it's more that they can navigate their attention. And a rabbit or all these animals, they have to have a great radar. They have to scan the environment. So they get a lot of input normally. For example, if you think about a gazelle, she can't just focus on the grass she's eating. She has to see everything, hear everything. And that's a bit like the ADHD brain, or the focus can go inwards. That's what's happening to Lotte. She's daydreaming. And predators, they are different. For example, if you observe a cat, if she detected a mouse, it narrows her focus. Everything's focused on this mouse. Cats can hear very well, they can smell very well, but if she is in this mode, you can really go there and just grab her, and she's startled. She doesn't hear you coming. She's just the focus is so narrow. So we thought it should be a predator or predator, predator.
Predator, at least.
Predator, yeah. And yeah, so we thought of the wolf. The wolf would be a good animal to stand for this directed, focused approach.
Yeah, I loved the inversion of that, right? The things that can make the wolf scary also make it an ally in this case, right? And my biggest takeaway from that is the way that we spend a lot of time trying to make ADHD kids fit into neurotypical boxes.
Yeah.
The way the other kids learn, so you should learn like them, rather than taking the lessons of the wolf and making your strengths work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie's going to show the best version of himself when we accommodate his brain's weaknesses and play to his brain's strengths, right? I want Charlie to do the things that make his brain happy.
Yeah.
That to me was a really beautiful takeaway from the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to really use this imagination. For me, this was also a game changer, that I really began to see myself as someone who learns a bit different. For example, that I really enjoy learning while listening to music. It activates me. Or what I really love is to read a book and then go for a walk. Mm-hmm. And just think about what did I read and try to remember every detail. And really, it's so nice. I can remember after 5-6 months, I can remember more than if I read the book 3 times. Then you can connect what you have to learn with daydreaming, because you can make images about it. You can think about how you would use that while doing coaching or whatever. And you have these images, you have these stories around it, which help you remember. And yeah, as you said, very often it's about you have to sit still, you have to be on a desk, it has to be quiet. So that's the best way to learn, which is also in a lot of books about learning, and to really do some experiments and see if your child is not a bit different and can learn better while moving or while listening to music. That's a bit the key.
Yeah.
And I do think it's important also to really train being focused a bit. Mm-hmm. But that's what the wise wolf says to Charlie. Daydreaming is valuable at the right time, and being focused is valuable at the right time. And it's not about taking away this daydreaming from children. It's about discussing when it is really important to be focused and what are other times when daydreaming is really valuable and you can see it as a strength. And which I find very, very helpful, there are if-then plans. If situation X, then you really have to focus. Do you use that if-then plans in your work?
All the time. I mean, and Jake, I'm wondering what that if-then looks like, because you do much more of the educational coaching. Mine is a little bit more like broader in scope. So what does that look like for the work you do?
The if-then statements? So I've never used it like explicitly as like a if this happens, then what's this going to be, or what should you do next? But we do it more, I guess, intrinsically, and just in terms of like how we're talking about whatever the material is or whatever the conversation's coming up. So if it's something like I'm getting in a fight with somebody at school, or I have a test coming up and I'm stressed about it. We will talk about it and around it, but we've never explicitly been like, okay, if you start feeling this or if you're experiencing this, then what do you want to do? So it hasn't been as explicit for me, but it's been there, like under the radar a little bit. So I can absolutely see like benefit of it, pointing it out and being like, okay, if X is going to happen, what is your response? What will you do next? And it's kind of like prior thinking about it is definitely going to take that and use it more.
I find it very helpful because if you are daydreaming, you're just not scanning the environment, for example, or if you're a bit impulsive, you just react spontaneously. And this if part is really, you say, in this situation, I want to, and it becomes a cue. So if you are daydreaming, it wakes you up. For example, I'm forgetting a lot of things, leaving things behind. So it's quite useful just to see when do I forget most of the things. And for me, it's if I'm leaving a place. For example, if I'm leaving the seminar room, there are always things left behind, like my phone or my computer cable or whatever.
Or your feta cheese.
Yes. And so for me, it was really like, if I touch a door handle, then I'm gonna look back and just have this little control. Did I leave anything behind? So even if somebody's talking to me, or if I'm daydreaming, as soon as I touch a door handle, that's the signal to wake up and see if I've left anything behind. Or as you said, for example, if somebody is teasing you, you can't just make up a good answer at the moment, but you can think about it in another moment, and you can prepare. If that certain kid is telling me to, then I will do this and this. And you can just imagine how you will react, respond. Or also for parents, I find it very useful. We've talked about homework and conflicts around homework. And I often talk with parents who have ADHD themselves and are getting aroused and angry. What makes you so angry? For example, they tell me, well, if the child is talking about why do I have to do this, or like this, doing a bit, rolling their eyes, then I just have this feeling we have to finish, and I pressure my child and so on. And you can, in a calm moment, think about what would be a good reaction. And for example, we always talk about put the relationship first. That's very important. Your child is more important. Your relationship with your child is more important than getting this this homework finished. And so, for example, you perhaps just tell your child, I see we are getting angry. I don't want that. We will take a break. That would be a good answer. And then you can really have this if-then plan. If my child does that, or if I feel that I'm getting angry, then I will just say this and we will take a break. Makes it much easier to react according to your plans if you have the situation which is really this cue. And it's something which also gets a bit automatic. And so you don't have to use this part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, to do it right. You can just really install a program which is just there and helps you get through the day.
You know, the idea of how much automaticity you can put into the ADHD brain, right? I tell my clients all the time, like, the more you can hook things to other things, the more you can make them automatic. What it's doing is it's bringing down the neural load, right? Because the most energy we spend is opting into something, choosing to go to the gym, choosing to do your homework, choosing to do your chores, brush your teeth, whatever it is. But if you make them hooked to other things, your brain just naturally turns the page of the book. So now it's time to do this. I often say that I always go to the gym after I drop my kids off from school, because the gym is between my kids' school and my home. If I don't go to the gym, then I don't go to the gym. It's no further away from my house, right? It's, you know, I could absolutely go, but if I don't make it part of that routine, I'm just never going to go to the gym. And I think that the secret sauce for meeting the needs of these kids is to let them know, A, that works, and B, why it works, right? Because once again, ADHDers look around and say, everybody else can just choose to do this stuff. How come I can't? I say, well, this is not how your brain works. This is how your brain uses energy differently. But we can hack that process by tying this thing you don't want to do to this thing that you do want to do, and then using lots of breaks to naturally reinforce that system. And all of a sudden, we've made a completely achievable way of getting those things done that actually works for the kid's brain that we're actually talking to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And which for us, it was also, we used these techniques before, like also the mindfulness training, which is also in the book. But for children, it was a bit boring sometimes. And the book doesn't bring you new methods or techniques. These are all just evidence-based techniques which are around for a long time now. It was more about how can we get children be motivated to try them. And so we created this character, Charlie, which is very likable, which has the same struggles. They can see themselves in her. And she desperately wants to change that, learn that, how she can manage. And children, they are with her on this journey. And so the techniques or methods are placed like little secrets into the story, which makes it much more attractive for children to try them out or to use them themselves.
Honestly, I'm so glad you said that, because that to me felt like, I mean, your authenticity comes through so much in this space, but to me, that was the thing that felt most authentic, because ADHDers hate being told what to do, right? We hate it. I can be like, Fabian, here's how you make a feta salad. You're like, I don't want to do it that way. You're the worst. Your last name is Zakreski. What do you know about a Greek salad? I guess.
Needs more tomatoes.
Yeah. I will not forget the cheese. I never forget the cheese. But the way that you encourage their brains to do that little extra effort and find those things, I was reading this, I was like, oh man, this person knows what they're doing. When I was thinking about Charlie's journey and thinking about my own journey, and then there's a little hidden nugget there. So what was that process like? Because I would guess it was challenging to not make the skills too overt, but also not make them so well hidden that the kids miss them.
Yeah.
Right. Because if the thing's in there, they don't see it, then that doesn't help either.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the process. We at first we talked about the methods we want to have integrated into the story, and then we made a story around it. And at the end, we've had about 80 children who read the book. And then at the end, we thought we have to make it more obvious at the end. We have to put in these methods so that really children can use them. At first, we just had the story, and then we made the appendix, because lots of children said, or parents said, it wasn't obvious enough. So that was really feedback from the readers that we have to make it more explicit.
So where do you see Charlie going next? I mean, I feel like she's got more to teach us. Is there a plan for Charlie 2?
Not really. There's another book. It's about happiness, finding happiness.
Ooh.
Yeah, the second part. And now we are writing a third book about perfectionism in children. The duck, Merely the duck, which is very fearful and always tries to do her best. She is the main character of the book. So there are different stories around this friendship, and there's Charlie again in this book, but she's not the main character. And I think in the near future, we want to write one for more hyperactive, impulsive children with different strategies.
It's almost like a universe of different psychology things.
Yeah, it's like a little universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always about the psychological topic. This was about positive psychology. We choose a topic and then we make a story about it or around it.
What's the process like for that for you? Like from beginning to like end, really, where you have a full book finished and published? put out there?
It's a bit different with every book. It's not really something we use all the time. So Lotte, it was more strategic. We really had a treatment. We knew what will happen next, and then we just wrote the story. And the second book, it was more during Corona, the virus and lockdown. And that was really a book about, we couldn't see each other, Stefanie and I. We were on this lockdown, and we were a bit talking what's really important in life. It's relationships. It's it was more a philosophical approach, and the story, it wrote it itself. It was less planned than the other one. Perhaps one important thing was really teaching these methods in Charlie, and the other thing was Charlie is mostly a book which is read by parents to their children. The children don't normally read it alone. And that's wonderful, because it stirs up so much discussions around these topics. And the mother and the teacher, they are concerned. They want to help Charlie, but they really want her to be a bit different. And this always, for example, there's this moment when the teacher tells Charlie, well, you're very smart. You just have to concentrate better. And you just have to do this. If you have read Charlie and you've seen the world through her eyes, you know that this is so hard, what the teacher does there, because for her, that's the main problem, to do this, not a just. And we've had so many reactions from parents who told us, I've seen myself in this mother or the teacher, and it stirred up so many discussions, and you really understood my child better. And that was the other part. That's not really something we put out. It's just something that happens if you read it with your child.
The death by 1,000 justs is just, I mean, oh, have you tried paying attention? Well, gosh, I haven't thought of that. It's like asking an anxious person, have you tried not being anxious? Like, come on.
Cured. Yay.
Hooray, we're out of a job. Oh my goodness.
That's really the hard part. If you have ADHD, it's the seemingly simple things which are hard for you.
Yeah.
And very often other people just don't get it. Why can't you just do it? Why can't you just fill out these forms, do your homework? Why can't you regulate your emotions? And it's really a bit about seeing, why is this so hard for these children?
So you said that parents are reading this book to their kids, right? So what do you want the parents reading this book to take from not only Charlie, but Charlie's mom, right? Because I thought that's a real learning moment there. So what's the focus?
Yeah, Charlie's mom, she's really concerned, and she just wants Charlie to be a good student and to do well in her life. And there are a lot of moments, for example, she's doing homework with her and it's going on for hours, and Charlie just can't do it anymore. And when she's finished, she wants to to prepare for exams. And I think it's really the mother, she's got to see that Charlie's trying her best. And if this best is not good enough, that's a huge problem for children, because they're always getting this message, you're just not good enough. You're not what we've expected. And that's so horrible for self-worth of children if they get this feeling. And in girls who are predominantly inattentive, we often see that they are trying to mask this. They're just trying harder and harder and harder. The boys, which are impulsive, hyperactive, they tend more to be oppositional to this. If I can't do it right, then I don't want to do it right. But it's the same problem. And really to get this into your head, that's so hard if you have this feeling. And how would it be if, for example, for us adults, if we would see we are working very hard and it's just never good enough? We always see that in our team, we are the one who hasn't finished work, who doesn't do it right, who gets bad feedback. And what would we do? about it. As adults, we would just change our work field. If we can't do that, we would perhaps concentrate on our spare time. we would get depressed, or we would blame others. That's what we would do. But we wouldn't stay focused and try again and again. And that's what we expect from children. So if you want children to try again and again and stay healthy, you have to show them that you see how they struggle and that you're proud of them. There was one incident, we talked about this in a seminar about ADHD, and one mom she was in tears about this. She said, I would quit my job after 3 months. I would, it would be the same as for my daughter in school. And she went home and she told her daughter, for the first time, I realized what you do every day to get up, go out there, try again, and I wouldn't be able to do it. You're so strong. And she said her daughter, she was crying. She hugged her, and it was a bit easier from then on. Just to be seen in this struggle and that others know it's a lot for you.
I just want to amplify that, because as an ADHDer, I don't know if anybody ever said to me, I know how hard this is for you. Like, I never felt like that was seen. Like, the whole experience of being neurodivergent, right, to echo what you said, is that easy things are hard for us and hard things are easy for us. So you get a lot of praise when you crush the math test or get the lead in the play, but you get a lot of negative feedback when you forget your homework or leave your house with only one shoe on. And I think for parents who not only who read this book, but listen to this podcast in general, the language we use to talk to our kids, to give them that feedback, is so important, because repeated criticism internalizes, right? It feels personological. It's your fault you didn't do this stuff. It's your fault you're not living to your potential. Not, man, no kid would choose to struggle this much. So maybe, just maybe, this is really freaking hard for them. And we need to meet that with some compassion, not anger.
Yeah, really important. It's as you said, there's a lot of people who got this idea you have to praise children for strength. But it's, I think, even more important to see them in their struggle. Another good example, we've had one mother who said, my child has so many problems in math. She just, we do all this homework, we have extra exercises we do, and she doesn't get good grades. I asked her, what do you do so that she is willing to do this again and again? And she said, well, if she comes home with a math test and it's a B, then we are very happy and we are going to eat the winner's ice cream. And I said, and if it's below, she said, we will eat a comfort ice cream. So just to have a good start in the afternoon and to tell her daughter, if you're trying and you're winning, well, it's great for all of us. And if you're trying and you're not winning, then we are here for you. And it doesn't change anything in our relationship. And I think that's really a very important thing. So if your child comes home, got a bad grade, you can just sit there with your child and listen to him or her and acknowledge that it's hard. That's very important. Not just say that I don't mind, because for the child it is really hard to try and not get the grades they want, and to be there and share this moment.
I mean, exactly, right? Ice cream is always the answer.
Yeah, it's not about the ice cream. It's really about yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be ice cream. It can be pancakes, could be candy.
Yeah.
It could be, you guys could watch their favorite show together if they get a good grade.
Yeah.
Or their comfort show if they bomb the test, right?
Yeah.
A lot of parents stop the positive intention when a less than desirable outcome occurs. And it's like, hey, hold on, wait. Our kids deserve love and support from us regardless of how that goes down. So,
yeah, I've had one father once who said, I told this story in a seminar, and he said, yeah, but shouldn't it be a bigger ice cream for good grades?
It's the label that changes.
Yeah.
And I really, as I just said to him, if you had this important project at work and it just didn't go the way you wanted it to go, when would you need a bigger ice cream from your boss? And he said, if it didn't go well. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, my friend, you've created something so special here, and it was our pleasure to amplify that through our podcast. Now, as we wrap things up a little bit, Jake and I are each going to ask you one final question. So I'll start. So if you could have any superhero on speed dial, who would it be and why?
Superhero.
Complete shift.
Yeah, boom.
Really, that's my mom. A little bit, yeah. If I really don't know what to do, I call her, and she always got an answer. So, yeah, I think that's a bit a superhero for me, my mom.
I love that.
And I think most of what I know about kids and how to raise kids and educate kids, it's from her. She was a kindergarten teacher too.
I mean, they all hold the world up. Yeah, I love that answer. Super mom. We're here for it. I would absolutely do this release this podcast for Mother's Day, but frankly, people need to hear your message well before May. So we'll probably just send that clip out. Yeah, Jake, that's what we'll do, Jake. We'll send the clip out. All right, Jake, your turn.
After that answer.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, my question for you is, what's your favorite word and why?
Huh.
Or phrase?
My favorite phrase. I don't really have an answer to that. Sorry. I just got a blank. It's even more difficult because they are coming German words, and it doesn't fit.
You can tell us that one.
We haven't gotten a German word yet.
Yeah.
Give us something that reflects like your culture. I mean, we all speak English here.
Sorry, I just have a blank there. I can't fill it. Sorry.
Totally fine. You know what? I would say when I think of you, I think the word that comes to mind is wise wolf. It's an archetype. It's a character I had never seen before. So I last thing I would want to do, my friend, is put words in your mouth. But when I think about a phrase that makes me think of you, it's wise wolf. And so that's my offering, Jake.
I mean, I'll take it. If Fabian will take it.
Okay, that's great.
Hooray. Well, then, Fabian, is there anything you'd like to send our audience away with as we wrap up this episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity?
Yeah, I think really one point which we were talking about is this wolf's eye. And I would just like people to stop telling children to concentrate, pay attention, hurry up. I've heard that a lot, and it's really painful because you always have this negative connotation with it. And if you really just get the idea that this is something which is, you can learn it, you can become better, but never as good as someone who doesn't have ADHD, and that you really have to see this little progress and work on it and see it as something you just train with your child. That would be wonderful.
And just so everybody knows, where can they find your book?
I think at the moment it's just on Amazon.
And they can just look up, Charlie, are you daydreaming again?
Great.
Perfect.
was so nice to be here. Thanks a lot to you guys.
Thank you for coming. This was so much fun. I mean, we had a blast, and you've created something really beautiful. So it's cool for us to be able to talk about that. So then for everyone listening to us, thank you for tuning into another amazing episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. We covered a lot of ground today in multiple languages, which is always fun for us. So keep learning, keep existing, keep trying to get better every single day. Thank you for your support of this podcast. And for everybody here, I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski. Jake, you want to say goodbye?
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Fabian, it was amazing to meet you. And I'm excited to pick up your other books as well. The second one and the third one when it's finished.
Right.
They're only in German so far. So
that's okay. I took like 2 years in German. I'll be able to pick up maybe like 20% of the words throughout it.
Duolingo is a thing. I'll learn it sooner or later. I'm going to go out and be a wise wolf. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Nerding Out on Neurodiversity is brought to you by Dr. Matt Zakreski and the team at the Neurodiversity Collective. To learn more about the Neurodiversity Collective or to be a guest on the podcast, please visit our website at www.theneurodversitycollective.com/podcast. Audio and production by Jake Noonan. Show your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends about us. Our Instagram and social media handles are at #NoonPodcast, NOON podcast. Your support is appreciated and keeps us going. All discussions presented on this podcast are strictly for informational purposes, awareness, and understanding. The advice presented is not and should not be considered to be therapeutic in nature. If you have any mental health questions, please contact your provider. All rights reserved.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.